time this week will be spent in Philippians chapter 4, where we will wrap up the month of May and Paul's incredible letter to the Philippians. I hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as I have. Today, I'd like to begin with a verse that is one of the most admired and yet at the same time one of the most misappropriated verses in the entirety of this letter and probably the whole New Testament. Philippians chapter 4, let's look at verse 13. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. This verse has become the rallying cry of countless souls, and understandably so. It's seen as a source of encouragement and empowerment as we navigate the trials and tribulations of life. It's one of our favorites. In fact, it is one of the top 5 most highlighted verses in a recent survey across multiple digital biblical platforms. It's been shared by countless souls in countless ways over the years, and doubtless it has been taken out of context nearly every time. Now, it's a powerful verse in any application. But I submit to you today that it is never more relevant than when it is presented in its original context. Think about it. We almost chant, I can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth me, to give us strength for the struggles of life, stability in the storms of life, and stamina when dealing with the stresses of life. And I don't think we damage the text in doing so. But ultimately, it's the strength to be satisfied no matter our status in life. And it's in that context that I would like to look at it together today. It's the strength to be satisfied. So let's dive into this today. Let's look first at the secret of the satisfied life. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. Let's begin with the problem of satisfaction or contentment, as Paul often refers to it. It is said that a certain man, after the hammering out of the American Constitution, there was a certain individual who came to Ben Franklin mocking the document, and this is what he said, "Where is all the happiness it's supposed to guarantee us?" Franklin smiled as only Franklin could and said, "All the Constitution guarantees, my friend, is the pursuit of happiness. You have to catch it for yourself." And therein lies the problem. So many of the issues with which we struggle have their root right here: discontentment. And the problem is that contentment is not a natural disposition. Look at Paul's language in the text. Look at verse 11. "Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content." I've learned. Verse 12, "I know both how to be abased, and I know how to abound everywhere in all things. I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need." Notice those words. I have learned. I have been instructed. So we see that contentment is not an endowment with which we're provided. It's an education that we must pursue. And I'll be honest, I'm failing some of the classes. If satisfaction is the result of a spiritual education, then along with the problem, there's got to be a process of satisfaction. The Bible never introduces a problem for which it doesn't have a process. And therein lies the secret of the satisfied life. There are a few lessons in this text, in the surrounding passage, that I want to share with you today as part of the process of satisfaction. Number 1, our rejoicing. Look at verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. Always. All the time. And again, I say, rejoice. Yes, I'm talking to you, Paul said. No matter what happens, keep rejoicing. Again, it's the theme of the book. What do we have to rejoice about? Well, that's a sermon, not a devotional, but we can rejoice in the providence of God. Look at verse 5. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. Brother Jonathan did a great job with this in his Sunday school devotional on Sunday morning. But let your moderation. It's an old word. It's hard to translate into English, but it really just means let your calmness, let your peace, let your lack of anxiety be apparent to everybody. Live like you're in the presence of the King. It's hard to get anxious when you know that he's just right over there. The Lord's at hand. He's right beside you. We can rejoice in the providence of God. We can rejoice in the promises of God. We can rejoice in the provisions of God. And the list goes on and on. Number 2, our rejoicing, also our requests. Verse 6, be careful for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God, and the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. I could get lost there today, but can I just ask a question? Could it be that our lack of peace is directly proportional to our lack of prayer? What about our reflections? Verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. What are you thinking about? The BHC family. Run it through the Philippian filter. When those thoughts come in, put them through this filter and reject everything that doesn't fit. Number 4, here's a word about our rest. Again, verse 11 and 12. Not that I speak in respect of one. I want you to know I'm talking to you about your giving, but it's not because I'm in a bad position. I have learned whatsoever state I'm in to be content. I've been instructed. I know how this. I'm resting. I'm at peace with where I'm at. He would say to Timothy later on in 1 Timothy chapter 6, godliness with contentment is great gain. We brought nothing into this world, and it is certain that we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us therewith be content. The richest man in the world is the man who is satisfied with what he has. But our problem is we keep looking over the fence and comparing ourselves among ourselves. And in doing so, we are not wise. Social media has destroyed us in this aspect. We no longer want to keep up with the Joneses. We want to be the Joneses. But let me remind you of the old saying. If the grass looks greener on the other side of the fence, you can guarantee the water bill's higher. So here's the secret of the satisfied life. And let me wrap up today with just a few words about the security of the satisfied life. And return to the original text where I will remind you that Christ gives us the power to be satisfied. Oh, I need it. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. Through Christ, I have the strength to accept my situation. Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. Remember from whence Paul is writing this. This is what got me. Maybe it's time for me to quit shaking the bars, rattling the cage, and just accept the situation. Through Christ, I have the strength to adapt to my situation. I know how to abound. I know how to be abased in everywhere, everything, everywhere and all things. I'm instructed to be full. I'm to be hungry, to abound, to suffer need. I can adapt to it through Christ. And through Christ, I have the strength to appropriate my situation. Go back to chapter 1, brethren. I want you to understand that the things that have happened unto me have happened for the furtherance of the gospel. That only happens if you have the strength to appropriate it correctly. And lastly, we close with the provision bestowed upon the satisfied. Verse 19, but my God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. It's not that only applies to the satisfied. It's just that they're the only ones who can see it. And with that, we close our journey through the book of Philippians. I hope you've enjoyed watching me get beat up by the text today. I look forward to meeting you in the book of Colossians next month. God bless you this morning.